Welcome to the Meeple Syrup Aftershow, designers discussing design. We just had episode 9, which featured many amazing technical difficulties and some fantastic guests. We had the one, the only Kevin Wilson, Kevin Nunn, and Eric Lang. So we had a wealth of knowledge, some great conversation, and thankfully both Eric Lang and Kevin Wilson, the Grim Reaper himself, have joined our after show to chat games.
But I have to say that Eric Lang has superb choice in headphones. These Sony headphones they're absolutely gorgeous, aren't they?
Oh, they are. I got mine in. So I actually have a story. Of course I do.
Of course you do.
Sorry.
Every 2 years on the dot, I break my headphones. It's always a different thing. It's either on a plane or whatever, and it's always on the way to Frankfurt Airport. And so every single one of these I get from Frankfurt Airport, and I overpay by like $20 to get them.
You might want to invest in like a pair of Sennheisers or something.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't have the story.
Yeah, but they'd actually last. So let's chat games. Eric, what have you been playing lately?
Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, you and Hearthstone, man.
I know. It's. I've been
Are you
playing
playing right now? You look like you're playing right now.
That's not playing games. That's called obsession.
It's a true fact. No, I've played. Actually, tonight I just played I just went to the local game store 401 and played. I finally played. What's it called? I wish I could remember the name. BattleCon.
Oh yeah.
The sort of Yomi plus.
Yeah. Cool.
It was pretty neat. Played some Star Realms. Finally got to play about half a game of Dead of Winter. Love it. It's awesome.
I told you would.
Yeah. I did not doubt you, man. Also, I played some Splendor again.
On purpose?
Oh wow!
I'm just asking.
My wife loves Splendor. And I love my wife, so there you go.
There it is. That's why I play a lot of Ticket to Ride.
Oh, Ticket to Ride is awesome.
Oh
It
yeah,
is.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Ticket to Ride or Splendor. To be
I love those jazz hands. There's nothing wrong with that.
I am not a crook.
How about you, Kevin? What have you been playing lately?
Oh, geez, let's see. Like always, my group plays a lot of Cosmic Encounter. We had For Sale on the table last week, actually.
Excellent.
Nice.
I played a lot of Hearthstone for a while there, but I dropped out. Just couldn't put the time into it anymore.
Quitter.
Yeah, exactly.
You get mocked if you play too much. You get mocked if you quit.
I know. You guys are horrible.
Can you bequeath your cards when you quit? Can you like give them to Eric to power him up a bit?
Cannot.
That'd be cool.
I'd have to sell.
No, that would suck. That's totally king making.
I know, but it'd be funny.
See, you've just proven that you haven't played Hearthstone.
I have not played Hearthstone.
Oh.
Because I cannot put my time. I told you that I can't put my time
The
into
dismissiveness of that was priceless.
Join us. The waters.
You're trying to get me to play for like 3 months now. I'm refusing to play. Je refuse. I stand for that.
Oh, he's refusing so badly he has to do it in French.
Yeah.
You're refusing in French to a German?
Yes.
When has this worked in past? Anyway, the next topic.
Yeah, exactly. that almost went to a place.
I'm going to go to a different place. So, about that IP we were talking about before. No, Stan and I share a bit of an obsession ourselves that I think that we don't get to kind of touch on that much anymore because there's just no time and no time to paint. It's the whole Warhammer 40K universe.
Warhammer.
The whole for me it's more the space stuff, the space fleet and Battlefleet Gothic. But man, if I had to design something for the IP, I'd scream like a little schoolgirl. That'd be a little wild.
Been there, done that, screamed it, got the T-shirt.
Were you a fan of? Are you a fan of 40K or like Games Workshop stuff in general, Eric?
Much bigger fan of 40K than Fantasy,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
No, me too. But
Nah, totally there with you.
I love the IP, so I actually like the IP way more than the game. The game is,
Yeah.
to be political, not my thing.
totally agree.
But the IP is awesome, and I'm way behind too. Like I've not read a lot of new stuff, but I have such fond memories of. Like I just devoured every codex, every book that I could find, every White Dwarf magazine I could find in my 20s.
Yeah, that was me too.
Still
I
hold
was
up.
telling Dylan just before we started the show that I would rather field an entire army of Adeptus Mechanicus than any of the overpowered anything, just because to me they were the coolest. They were just fun. They were interesting. I
The
think
story, man.
yeah, White Dwarf did such a good not White Dwarf, sorry, Games Workshop did such a good job of world creation that it just drew me in as that kind of gritty future that I was totally into. But then the miniatures cost a lot and painting took a lot of time and I sucked at it, so I kind of gave that up. But I love the world.
Give me the
still. I
Luminous
still love
Powers
it.
of Chaos any day, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
I
kind of
don't
a chaos
know.
kind of guy.
There's no coincidence.
So, Kevin, did you play any of the Games Workshop miniature games?
Me?
Yeah, Kevin. You're the only
Yeah,
Kevin in
no,
the room.
You're the only
um,
Kevin.
Oh,
Kevin.
sorry,
You're the
I'm
only
used to
Kevin
having
in
the
this
Kevin
room.
name.
Used to having multiple Kevins.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Set a dangerous
it's,
precedent.
Back when I worked at Alderac, we had 3 Kevins at the company, and there were only like 15 people there. So, but no, I didn't. I don't play a lot of the Games Workshop stuff. My miniatures game was Dystopian Wars,
Oh,
actually. Yeah, the local group kind of fell apart, so I don't do it much anymore. But like for a while there, I had like 2 armies being painted up and everything, and I liked it because it was little boats and they don't have faces, so easy to paint.
It's true.
Right.
Is that why you liked
That's
Gothic, Dylan? Is that why you?
I mean, you just underpaint with a black undercoat, dry brush everything else on. You're gold.
Yep,
You're fine.
exactly.
You're in space, man.
Poor Daryl. He doesn't play any miniatures games. He's like totally lost
No.
in this.
I'm watching sports highlights.
Oh, wait,
Sorry.
Daryl,
Daryl, you
I
play
wanted to
a
ask
lot
you a
of
question.
high miniature board games, though, don't you? Like, you play like, I mean, you got Chaos Ball. That's a board game, but it's
Yeah, I'll play board games with miniatures, but I'm not like terrain miniature world. I had a good friend in London, George. Sen knows him.
Oh, George.
Who was always trying to recruit me, and I was just amazed by his stuff, but I just had no desire to add to my already life-sucking obsession with games. So I did not need to add more categories to the hobby.
It's interesting. I just wanted to ask you, Daryl. Speaking of life-sucking obsessions, and your other one that's kind of sucking you away from this for a bit, baseball is one of your big obsessions, right?
It is, and I am now free till March. I have more gaming time. I was just talking to Nick Walker about how my gaming time has just increased because the last baseball game of the season is done.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your view of sports as an IP, and why you think that sports games haven't done well when brought into the board game world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it hasn't done well yet. So I am actually convinced that culturally, jocks have been taught to not mix with geeks, and yet those worlds are melding. Everything's getting far more mixed.
No, because all the jocks work for the geeks now.
Well, no, I know that joke, but I actually think we're beyond even that. So I would actually say that we're getting to a point where sports people are all about stats and keeping stats, which is basically like fantasy sports is D&D for sports fans. And
yeah, we're all nerds.
We're all nerding out, and it's a high commitment type community. So I actually think there's a transition coming, and I think actually one of the signs of the transition is Cryptozoic just put out a deck builder hockey game.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just brand new release, and I say to myself, that's totally brilliant. And they're gonna slowly transition through using things like Christmas gifts and stuff like that. But sports fans are going to discover that there is more than just, NFL version of Monopoly. And they're going to love that their IP is actually being respected and being put into good games. The problem is, for too long, the IP of sports has always just been a paste onto bad games. And
Right.
so I really think that the reason there aren't as many jock board gamers is because they've not actually been respected as an audience that might like games. And I think that's changing. So, I mean, I see more and more people that are thinking of new ways to introduce sports in little ways. So, for instance, Mike Fitzgerald did the new the baseball game, and yet, like, it was at the gathering of friends, and people were playing it that hate sports, but said, "Oh, this is a fantastic game," and that's what's going to have to happen. Is there's going to have to be some fantastic games that people want to play the game, anyways, and then sports fans are going to love it because it's like that's my world, that's what I love. So
Eric and Daryl, you're both talking about kind of that obsession with stats, and I actually think like there's a lot of obsessions happening here. Because specifically talking about IP and going back to Kevin's last comment, the whole don't get too deep into the IP, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. Just because, like, what I was sensing in that comment was the kind of historian geek in me that if I'm doing a historical topic, I will just go down that rabbit hole, and it's so hard to pull out. Like, it's seriously so hard to pull yourself out of that. But you get all the people who are, who have read every single ounce of the canon and a little bit of the extra stuff, and they're going to call you on every single time you try to get too deep and get it wrong. They'll nail you on it. Just
totally. Well, it hurts the accessibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a medium thing too, right? Like if you're giving a dissertation, of course they want depth. They want depth and linearity to it. But in gaming, that's no way. Absolutely not. Right? Like linearity is death for gaming.
Yeah, it needs to be essence. It needs to be what is the fun thing that's drawing you to it.
Right. And how do you do what
right.
ifs?
I mean, otherwise you wind up with a game where people are playing it and they feel like they're having a conversation they don't understand it all.
Yep.
Hey, Kevin, do you remember the first time? Do you remember the first time we played the we were playtesting the Call of Cthulhu card game, and Cthulhu got gunned down by a Tommy gun?
Oh yeah.
And we stopped the game. I was like, oh, I don't think you can say. I was like, oh, star, asterisk, planet.
You can do whatever you want. We're on after midnight.
We're gonna get. I was like, we're gonna get in trouble here, and because we were getting evaluated at the time, we're like, are we gonna lose this design right now because this happened? No, of course not. Nobody cared. Everybody loved it.
It's funny. I'm working on an IP right now where I'm caught between being too realistic or too into the IP, and then trying to generalize it to the point where it's almost too generalized, and coming to the area where it's going to merge right. That's where I am right now with one of the ones I'm working on. I don't want to get too deep into the genre like you're saying, and so I took that really to heart when you said it, because I could see all the fanboys of this IP coming back and saying that didn't happen in this episode, it happened in this episode or whatever. And I don't want to have to sit there defending all that all the time. I also don't want to defend the fact that certain kaiju don't have that body part. So how could they do that attack?
Yeah.
So I'm working on the attacks instead of being, rip and claw to be, smash and bash and, that kind of thing. So it's interesting that you said that because that's exactly where my head is right now. Oh, Daryl. Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
I think that in general with that sort of thing, just like you find what's cool about the property, and B, figure out what the touchstones are. What are the things that everybody knows about the property? Dungeons and Dragons has magic missile. It just does.
Yes.
And if you make a game about Dungeons and Dragons and there's not a magic missile in it, well, you've missed the boat a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to have super obscure knowledge about magic missile in there. It just has to exist.
I kind of want to follow that up because I mean both of you have this unique aspect that you've worked on a whole bunch of IPs. You've had the luxury of thinking and boiling down a bunch of IPs. I'm curious to hear what are some of the essence that you've discovered with some of the games that you've worked on. What is, I'm sure what's fresh on your mind, Kevin, just coming through with X-Files. What did you discover were some of the essence of X-Files? And then, Eric, do you have any examples of, games that you worked on where like you discovered kind of what that IP is all about?
Well, for X-Files, the thing that had to happen was that you had to go investigate cases, and you had to run into weird stuff and all that. And then there had to be certain characters had to show up, and certain images had to show up. During early playtests, my early prototype had this like 9-piece jigsaw puzzle thing of the I Want to Believe poster in there.
Right.
I love that thing.
I was just gonna say have that poster.
And during the production, they actually took it out and they had it in just a track instead of the poster thing. And I was just like, well, I think that this poster has to exist somewhere in the game. If you can put it back in some other way, that's fine. But if you don't have any other suggestions for that, I really think we need this jigsaw thing here. And I think in the end they like compromised, and we have both the track and the jigsaw puzzle now. But the I Want to Believe thing is so iconic. I mean, if it's not there somewhere, people are just like, oh, I really wanted that, I really wanted so-and-so or whatever in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, how about you?
Well, because recently I've got Dice Masters on the brain recently, because I just finished working on another set for it. And it's I guess check myself here. So I'm going to go back to the original set. Not talk about the thing I'm working on right now that I'm not allowed to talk about, but the
X-Men versus...
Yeah.
Good catch.
With Marvel with Marvel Dice Masters, right? So both Mike and I are comic book fans. I was actually, I'm also like with Warhammer, I was a fan of comics in my 20s, more so than now. So I didn't read anything new. It's exactly what Kevin said, right? I didn't read any new stuff at all. I actually reignited my love for Marvel because of the movies, right? The movies are so amazing. And so I actually, I channeled the movies as much as I possibly could. So when we did the set, at first, I was like, all right, everybody in the starter decks has to have appeared in one of the Marvel movies. No question.
I think that's a good idea. Anyway.
Right, we didn't go that well. I mean, we didn't go exactly that way, but we tried, and then we tried for. My goal is just an 80-20 rule, right? Just 80% of the guys in the first set should be somebody that anybody, if you ask anybody who would identify as a Marvel fan, would know. Anybody. Mm-hmm. So, if I haven't heard of them in the last 10 years, probably not a good benchmark. Mm-hmm. Plus, the other iconic thing that we hit on, which we did lift from our old game Couriers, but it really fit with Dice Masters, is we want to absolutely make sure that to use multiple versions of every hero, right? It's so
right.
The universe. Like there's always it's not just a different costume. It's a different universe. It's a different reality. And the funniest thing about that game is I actually insisted that a feature of the game is that the same superhero can fight. Multiple of the same superheroes can fight on the same side, so you can have two Hulks on your side, and my Hulk can beat up your Hulk. They got to be able to exist on the same table because the stories that people, the stories that people would generate to justify that is so in the spirit of comic books.
Totally.
I mean, it's one of the 3 top touchstones in my opinion.
It's like that becomes a meta theme. That, like you've gone from just Marvel to comic books in general. Like that's awesome.
Well, right. Because like, what do you talk about when you talk about comic books, right? Especially when it's late at night, you're talking to your friends about it. Who can beat up who?
Yeah. Absolutely. kind of jumping on that note, then, what are some people's favorite IPs, games out there, like that you haven't designed?
Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, that would be mine too.
Dylan, what would you say? What are some of your favorite IP games?
Well, I actually think that we should put a little shout out for Godzilla Stomp, which is a little known like first IP game that any one of our game artisans had ever made. But I'm addicted to the entire kind of Space Hulk Warhammer universe. That's what I stick with.
Cool.
Kevin, what about you?
Oh.
Geez, it's not really exactly a license, but King of Tokyo would be one of mine, where it's just about the giant monsters beating each other up. And I don't actually get around to a lot of the IP games, honestly. But I love King of Tokyo. A lot of video games, actually, probably would be the thing I'd say most.
Yeah, video games are really cool.
Yes.
You guys remember X-Wing from way back when?
Oh yeah. What are you doing? What are you looking for, Eric?
I'm looking on my shelf to see what licensed board games I have.
I know
I will say that X-Wing, the current incarnation of X-Wing is one of my favorite IP games of recent years. For sure. As you can tell, I'm pretty much a Star Wars fanboy, so I love flying those little ships around. And so the one that's coming out that's interesting to me is going to be that Imperial Assault one. Should be cool.
So
yeah, I was just going to ask Sen, did you play Wings of War before?
Yeah, I played it before. I still like X-Wing better just because I like the IP, but yeah.
Yeah, totally. Because that's the funny part.
IP.
Sorry?
I like the World War I IP. You know, that's my thing.
Yeah, because you're a war historian.
Well, that's what I mean, which is funny because I got into Wings of War because of the history side. I like history, and I played it a bunch, and I got to the point where I was kind of sick of the game, and then X-Wing came out, and I was like, well, now I want to buy it because I actually like the theme, but I feel sick of the game. So I was torn, and now I'm excited about Imperial Assault because I have no Descent history. So I'm like, oh, well, I can get into Descent.
I gotta say that, like, it seems like there's these poles of Star Wars and Star Trek, right? I'm kind of neither. I'm a total Dune fanboy. Like, Dune, if you want a sci-fi universe, Dune is the only universe there is. Like,
do you like Rex?
Oh, sweet God, Dune the board game.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
One IP that I love so much, I just can't touch anything to do with it. I don't want to ruin it.
Dune the board game is amazing.
Okay, see, I've read about it, I've thought about it. I'm like, should I do that? I'm like, no, I don't want to ruin it for myself. It's like just I don't know. There's this.
Do it. Take the plunge.
Do it.
Take the plunge.
That's hilarious. I would love to see a really good James Bond game. And I would really love to see a good Indiana Jones game.
Oh yeah, Jay would
want to design that.
Yeah,
I would definitely want to design that as well. I love Indiana Jones.
You never know; it might happen. It might fall in our laps one day.
The Adventurers 2 is actually a pretty good Indiana Jones with the serial numbers filed out.
Yeah.
I like the second one a lot better than the first one.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
Definitely. The second one's better.
I haven't played either. That's good to know.
Oh, so if you could hunt for an IP, if you could cherry pick one, Kevin, what would you want? Other than the My Little Ponies, is there another one?
Oh, geez. These days, right now.
Kind of did them all already.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe Avengers or G.I. Joe.
Oh, G.I. Joe, that'd be awesome.
G.I. Joe would be pretty cool. And Eric, what about you?
Yeah.
See, I've been really blessed. I actually had a bucket list of all the IPs I want to do, and I've hit every single one of them except one.
Oh, and
which
what's
is
that?
Final Fantasy.
Nice.
It's not
Like-
going to
How
happen.
about,
Let
How
us
about
all
you,
have a
Jim?
moment of silence.
Yeah. Final Fantasy, which one though? Like the whole series or tactic or?
Final Fantasy, the IP, like the umbrella IP.
Wow.
So,
That would be
I,
How
pretty
about you,
epic.
Ben? What would you want?
I got into this industry actually. I started a game company to get into the industry to make a Final Fantasy trading card game way back in '97, and I actually got all the way to Bondi, and I was negotiating a contract for it when they decided in the middle of the negotiation they were going to pull it in-house, the design in-house. That's when they made that little booster pack only CCG they did with that special feature where not all the cards are playable. It's a great feature, and that's and my disappointment in that is actually what kind of got me to start my own company and make my own games, and here I am. So thank you, Bondi.
Oh, me? I don't know. I mean, Godzilla was kind of a dream for me. I'm a big Godzilla fan, so I'm happy with one.
Godzilla 2001.
No, Godzilla Toho.
I like Godzilla 2001.
There's nothing wrong with the American Godzillas. But I grew up with the men in rubber suits, so it kind of holds a place in my heart. And speaking of those men in rubber suits, the other thing that would probably hold a good place in my heart would be a couple of the other type of Kamen Rider, that kind of stuff. Those
I did not know where you were going to go with that transition.
No, but
That
of
was
course you don't.
incredible.
But Dylan does. And
Son's
one
got all the
person,
figures,
if
for
one
Christ's
person
sake.
gets my love for weird Japanese men in rubber suits and giant morphing things, then I'm okay with that.
A small part of me is Japanese. I'm quite certain. We go back to Japan so often now that it's my son is totally into Kamen Rider and all of the various the thing is they regen every single year, so you got to get the same damn figures every single year. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And every game you design is about Japanese food.
There you go.
That's Dylan. Dylan designs games
Japanese
about.
poultry. Oh wait, we were doing Japanese. That's right. I was doing Japanese food with Daryl,
And Chinese food.
just recently. Yeah.
Hot pot. But that's not really an IP, I don't think.
Sure.
We're trying to take Asia. Asia as an IP. There you go.
We're a pretty big continent. I don't know. We can have it all.
Here's a question. What do you guys think about games being created using an IP but not actually extending the game? And I'm looking specifically at Pandemic Contagion as an example of people that had a reaction, strong one way or the other, about, oh, that's not Pandemic, or, oh, that's Pandemic, but it's different. Like, what do you guys think of, now kind of we're getting into the world of people creating games that are spin-offs or, reverse looky-loos?
Is that a technical term, Daryl?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in heist talk mode right now. I'm researching for a game, and everything is like Ocean's 11 phrases.
Right.
Or is it? Or you mean like the endless sea of blank, the dice game?
Yes.
I like dice. Yeah. I mean, if it adds something, or if it's a more accessible version of the game or something, I'll play it. It has a right to exist. I mean,
it has a right to exist.
It does.
According to Senate.
With you.
Yes.
Permission.
You may live.
I'm glad the charter extends to board games. Really, I'm glad it does.
Yeah.
I actually like it. I actually like games that offer a completely different experience in an IP that I already like.
Yeah, me too.
I'm actually a big fan of. I played Raw, the dice game, recently, and surprised by how much I liked it. Because Raw is one of my favorite board games.
Yep.
And I pretty much, when I saw the dice game, I thought, I'll try it. That's probably going to be garbage. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a good game.
I do want to clarify. I actually really enjoy Pandemic Contagion, and it's funny whenever I try to explain it to people, I say it is not Pandemic, but it's a great game. It's
Just has the same
just
word
has
at the front.
just has Pandemic at the front of the box.
Yeah, it's funny because we had Kevin on here, Kevin Nunn, before, who did Sentinel Tactics. And Sentinels of the Multiverse was a game that I, for the same reasons that Kevin said, was a game that I really, really wanted to like because, like Eric, I'm a huge comic book fanboy as well. So there are definitely comic book IPs that I would love to get my hands on. Like Powers would be brilliant to do. Mice Templar would be wonderful to do as a game. But anyways, my point about Sentinels of the Multiverse was that I wanted to love the game so much that I think I don't like it because of my want to love it so much. Do you know what I mean?
See, now you understand.
I know it didn't meet. It didn't meet what I thought it would be. Going down the rabbit hole that I would go down. But then Kevin came up with the tactics version of it, which is more what I wanted from the game, so I really did appreciate his take on that IP. So yes, my answer to you, Daryl, is I think there's, like I said, there's definitely validity in having an extension of an IP in different game forms for reasons. People might not like the first one, people might like the first one. It might be more accessible. It might be a different mechanic. Whatever. There's always.
We got to get a little sticker to put on games now, to put on spin-off games, which is a little halo that says like "Send approved."
Send gives you the right to live.
You may exist.
Send says you may exist. It's awesome. Oh man. Well, Kevin, can you give us any spoilers on Chew? I'm looking forward to Chew. We're talking IP. Can you talk anything about it?
Comic book too.
Oh, Chew. Poyo's in it. I can't really talk much. Well, Poyo's in it, and the main characters are in it. So.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert! Every character.
Spoilers. Hey, I asked. You can say no. What is it like, though? I mean, you have a good working relationship with IDW. Does this kind of open the future doors of, like, are you one of their go-tos for, like, future work, future IPs?
Maybe. You know, I like working with them, and they have a whole bunch of IPs and stuff, so I'd love to do some more stuff with them.
Oh, yeah, they have G.I. Joe.
You know,
they seem like
everything.
super nice people. They were at Gen Con. I got to chat with them at their booth. Crazy nice.
I hang out with them a lot. They're real nice guys. I get along with them real well. Which, you don't always.
Historically, they started out in doing game-related stuff, not necessarily board games, though, right? Didn't they start out doing books for video games?
Oh,
That were IDW?
I'm only familiar with their comic book line.
Yeah, IDW is just comics.
Oh, I thought they did other stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. I can be wrong. Except when I give games the right to exist.
Then you can never be wrong.
Careful not to lose your own seal of approval.
I know.
A purity seal, as it were.
Yes, it's a purity seal.
Oh,
I will
man.
not submit to the forces of the warp. I will not submit to the forces of the warp.
Nice.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, I'm noticing the time. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for chatting game design, and yeah, hopefully we'll have you guys on the show in the future.
I will crash
Glad to come
your
back.
party anytime.
Now that I know how it works.
Yeah,
You know how it works.
Although when I come back, I want that filter.
yeah, we got to give you that little symbol that send approves that you may exist.
No. He wants the Emperor Palpatine's.
Yeah, the death filter.
Oh, yes. We should do a whole episode like that.
Well, I think last week, didn't somebody start that last week?
That's true. We already got in a little bit of trouble for saying Jonathan Gilmour was in a zombie apocalypse bunker.
He didn't get in trouble. He went and bought a new camera.
He did buy a new camera, so we're slowly converting people.
Yeah. Actually, I think he bought it because he wants to play View Scream with me, so we'll do that sometime.
It's hilarious. So yeah, so our next show, just as a heads up, we're going to be talking to a couple publishers. Still need to confirm them, but it'll be talking to publishers about receiving designs. What's the process like? So anyone that's interested, there's our info. If you got questions, check us out on Twitter or our website or on Facebook or all that fun stuff. If you want and like our show, I would recommend subscribing and even sharing it with your friends, family, coworkers, anyone who wants to make a good game, because then they can learn from our incredible guests and learn from all of my mistakes. So with that said, keep designing great games and have a great night.